we need to think of a new advert for freebets.com.
Get your best betting offers from freebets.com.
Yeah, that'll do.
The following deals are now live.
This is Lewis Arthur Boxing Social in association with freebet.com, Empire Fight Store, Forged Irish Stout. Delighted today to be joined with Tommy Welch. Suppose it's the start of the new year and a sort of hopefully a big year for yourself. Other than that, how's training been, chipping along? How's it been?
Mate, yeah, we're we're in the trenches at the moment. So training hard, preparing, getting ready really, just getting ready for a call with the sort of meaning behind it, So I'm preparing, I'm training hard, I've been sparring. I'm feeling good. I'm fit. I'm strong. So everything's going well. Touch wood.
And obviously, you finished 2023 quite strongly. The stoppage victory in Brighton and the stoppage victory in Dubai as well. How important was that for yourself? Just sort of starting on that to kick on from that momentum from the sort of good back end of last year.
We throw it back to I boxed on the Sky Show in Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Had a convincing win. Didn't feel great, to be honest, and knew that I had to get myself back and feeling good again. There was a few bits going on, and I just didn't perform how I would like to have performed. Still got the win, and I moved on from it. But since then, I boxed in Brighton in my hometown. Had a fantastic reception. Really set the place alight. It was like I had the prime spot, like 8:30. The crowd was kicking. When I walked out, it was fantastic, and got a good win against a solid Argentinian guy, and 5-0, undefeated heavyweight that come to mix it and really sort of gave me a chance to put a good performance on for the crowd. So that was good. We wanted another win straight after. We managed to get on a show in Dubai, sort of. Desperately trying to just have one more, get a little bit greedy, and as we was feeling good and obviously off the back of a stoppage, got the chance to fight out there and flew there and had a last minute opponent change and ended up boxing a Azerbaijani in, it was good. He was a more experienced guy. He had 30 fights, 124, lost 6, 22 knockouts. They slipped him in last minute, and I had fun. I blew him out in a round. So, I was on good form. So, obviously now this year, been ticking, been really sort of just perfecting my craft slowly and patiently, So.
I suppose we'll get into sort of reasons why there has been no fight date in a minute, but obviously you haven't got a fight date at the moment, but you're still training and still staying in the gym. As you said there, you're sort of trying to perfect the craft and trying to sort of perfect the skills. How important is that of when there's no in the downtime, in the sense where you're not in camp, you're almost you're still trying to hone the skills, and you're still always trying to get better, whether it be outside of camp as well.
This isn't a part-time job. This isn't a job. This is purely a lifestyle, and I was born into it, and I don't know if that's fortunately or unfortunately, but I was raised by my father leading the way and being an ex-boxing champion, and he set the pace for me, and I sort of fitted in. And since you put the gloves on, it was, like I said, it's not a job, it becomes a lifestyle. Everything revolves around boxing, even for yourself. You're doing this job, but everything revolves around boxing.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyone that gets involved, inside the ring or outside the ring, it's 24/7. It's in your mind, and it's there. And, whether I'm fighting, whether I'm not fighting, my number one is, in this short window that we have being professional fighters, we have to keep on top of our game and keep progressing, and there's a lot of downfalls and there's a lot of, ups as well with this game. But you can't really get too attached to all of that, and you just have to sort of enjoy the game. And I do enjoy the game. I enjoy the training. I enjoy, fighting hard in the gym. and then getting a chance to fight on good shows is really the reward of hard work. So yeah, I enjoy perfecting my craft.
And you said that there about your father, and I'm sure so many people have asked you before, but just sort of briefly touching on that, of the influence that he has, especially when it comes to you now, whatever mistakes that he may have made in his career, um, the importance that he brings that through to you, and advising you to sort of not make the mistakes that he's had. And as I said, I'm sure he's always telling you to, keep in the gym, sort of trying to sort of lead the way, lead the way for yourself to not try and make mistakes that, he could have made in his career.
Without a doubt. And there's no better man for anyone in this game than someone that's been there and done it. I heard Eubank, I don't know if you see it, but I heard Eubank Senior speaking to Coogan recently on an interview, and saying how experience is just priceless, and there's not many people in this game or around this game that have been there and won a t-shirt. So for me, being led by my dad, who has been there, he's been in the trenches, he's been there when it's hard, he's been knocked out, he's got back, he's rose, and not many people are still fresh in their minds, still passionate about the game like my dad, and experience. For me, I've never not known it, so I've always been led by him, I guess, and it's always, I guess it's always paid me well. So, in a sense of it's done me good. So, I'm thankful. I'm very grateful, and I've got a good leader in the camp.
And having that, in what way do you look at it? With your dad being a pro boxer, do you sort of want to carve your own way? Do you look at it in a way where you want to live in his legacy? Like what sort of aspect do you look at? Because you mentioned Eubank Senior, obviously, and Eubank Junior obviously has that sort of thing. How do you sort of look at it?
I mean, I was only mentioning that because obviously I liked what he was saying about the experience
Yeah,
stuff.
of course.
Every man is himself. Do you know what I mean? Whatever your dad done doesn't mean what you're gonna do. We're all men. We're all grown ass men that are gonna do our own paths in this life. Whether we fall short, whether we take it further, that's down to us as individuals. And he paved the way for me, absolutely. Have I had a tougher run with someone like my dad, that has been there and done it? I would say so. I've definitely had a tougher run because there's been more pressure. More pressure to deliver the goods when it's when the heat is on. I'm not just a random kid coming from nowhere. This is so and so's son who's been there and done it. Let's expect good things out of this man. And if I don't deliver, then everyone's like, So there is more pressure in that sense. And listen, I'm here. We're doing our thing the best we can, and like I said, we're being patient and we're working hard. And really and truthfully, I'm my own man. I'm my own individual man, and I'm creating my own path. He had his time back then. This is my time now, and he's guiding me the best he can, and we're enjoying it.
Absolutely. And I suppose sort of touching on sort of towards the back end of 2023, as we was talking about there, and especially big topical in 2024, you did make it clear that you did want to campaign at Bridgerweight, and you are in the top 15 at Bridgerweight. I do believe in the WBC you are ranked number 14. So hopefully sort of 2024 looking to push for big titles at Bridgerweight, and there are big fights at that weight as well.
Absolutely. It's there. It's an opening for us. I'm a heavyweight, really. I'll be honest. I'm a heavyweight, and the Bridgerweight scene. I can make it very comfortably and just cutting down kilos, and I'm there. So if there's good fights for me there, I'm happy to attend and hopefully make my mark in the Bridgerweight scene. And I think I'm the only British man in the rankings at the moment. So, I'm flying the flag, really, if you could, yeah. It's good.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, I suppose it brings me on to a topic that I did want to talk to yourself about. And suppose speaking to Alen Babic last week, he talked about making a comeback on 31st of March. In the interview, in multiple interviews, he said that he was going to fight Tommy Welch. I think you sort of exchanged a few Instagram stories between each other.
Shoulda, coulda, but didn't. Yeah.
So saying this to you now, I think he got announced either yesterday or today that he's going to be fighting Steve Robinson. From your timeline events and from your reply, why aren't you fighting Alen Babic on March 31st?
You know, we was in negotiations. I accepted it with two hands and said, yeah, absolutely. Like, I want the fight. My dad was obviously, you know, he's my manager and, you know, he's doing what managers do and he's getting the best, you know, offer on the table. We're an undefeated British heavyweight prospect coming through that's ranked number 14 in the world bridgerweight, which he is as well. You know, there was a potential title on the line. Would have been over 10 rounds. It would have been a fantastic fight. I'm coming off, you know, 3 good wins and 2 good knockouts. You know, you're as good as your last fight, shall we say. Yeah. And he obviously, you know, he's fighting Steve Robinson. I'm not discrediting Steve Robinson. You know, he's a big giant of a man. He lost his last fight. You know, hasn't fought for, you know, when was his last fight? Last year? Been out of the game.
July 2023, yeah. That'd have been the last one.
Yeah. So he's you know, been out of the game for now 8 months. Don't know if he's even been in the gym, you know, like, I don't know. We literally was waiting for, like, you know, yeah, we'll get back to you. And next thing, Steve Robinson's been announced, you know, here we are, this is the boxing game, you know, what can I do? Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to start shutting my mouth off and, you know, going back and forth, wasting time. Like, if you're serious, let's go. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm preparing, I'm ready, I'll be ready for the 31st. You know, I was excited about it. You know, the O2, my friends are fighting on that card. It would have been a fantastic card to be on. But, you know, just this game sort of sticks you sometimes, you know. You get excited about it. I'm getting pestered by his people, my socials, which is all a bit fun. You know, I'm down for the back and forth and that. But be serious, be real. You know, if you're going to start shouting, you know, names about and I'm going to fight Tommy Welch and blah, blah, blah. But, like, come on, you know?
Yeah. I was going to say it must be frustrating for you because you obviously wanted the fight. Him also calling your name, and then when you don't see it, sort of it isn't you. That may then reflect badly on you. So it must be frustrating that certain narratives may get painted about yourself when that's sort of so far from the truth.
That's why it's good to be speaking to people like yourself. That's going to be putting it out on platforms, to say that we ain't running from no one, And Babbage called my name. We was in negotiations on sorting it out. You know, we accepted. We said yes. We want the fight. We'll fight tomorrow. You know, like, you know, what can I do? I don't know. You know. I respect Babbage, by the way. Yeah, you know, Babbage is a warrior. He's an entertainer. I like what he does. You know, maybe he's taking an easier fight for himself to get himself back into the mix. You know, he got knocked out in his last fight. Hasn't fought for a year. I watched a couple of his interviews of saying how much of a bad place I'm sure he was in because of the game, and it does knock you down. And he's climbing back up. So fair play to him. If you want an easier fight, that's what you've gone and done. In my eyes, that's what I believe. I'm an undefeated heavyweight. You know, bridgerweight, heavyweight, we're here. I'm ready. You called my name and I said, yeah, okay, let's go. But, you know, the negotiations, we're waiting for a call back and all of a sudden I don't know, man. Anyway, moving on.
Well, yeah, I suppose just sort of touching on that side. And I know I'm not trying to sort of make you throw any promotions under the bus or anyone under the bus, but when you're waiting for a final offer and it doesn't happen, does that leave you a bit disappointed? And I know you've fought on a Sky show and a boxer show before, but it does leave you disappointed with potentially people there who have sort of maybe let you down in a sense.
I don't know if it was necessarily Babbage or whether it was boxer, you know, that maybe looking after him a little bit. I don't know. Like, you know, did they go for the cheaper option? You know, did someone come in and oh yeah, you know, he hasn't boxed for a while, he'll be an easier fight, you know, chucking peanuts, you know. I don't know, like, who knows? Do you know what I mean? But like, all I know is that we said yes, and I was getting excited for that fight because absolutely, I would have put my heart on the fucking line, you know, like without a doubt, me and him would have, you know, rocked it out, and I believe, you know, I would have overcome him as well, absolutely, you know. So hopefully, let's see how this fight goes, and there could be a potential duster.
And you say that there when you sort of getting up for the fight now and realizing that fight isn't there anymore. Do you find it sort of a bit difficult to sort of keep your mind on track, like say motivate? I know you're always motivated, but sort of how do you deal with that? Sort of getting back on the road and getting back on the grind.
The motivation's a massive thing. You know, without motivation, it doesn't allow you to get out of bed in the morning. So for me, like motivation is everything. I know my time's coming. I'm just chipping away, chipping away. And whatever next step's gonna come out of the woodwork, I'm gonna be ready for, basically. So I'm just taking my time. I'm not a newbie in this game. I come through the amateurs. I know what disappointments are. I remember having 11 pullouts before an amateur fight. Like it happens. This happens. So I just hope we can mix it in the future. So whoever wins that fight, I'm saying I'll fight the winner on this channel. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I'll fight the winner of that fight. If they want it.
I was going to say that now, like after having this and having the flirtate, the sort of the temptation of a big fight, it must sort of whet your appetite.
Flirting with me, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it must whet your appetite that you want to be in massive fights and prove to I suppose yourself that you are the man that you are, and when the levels step up, that's when you'll see the best of Tommy Welch.
Listen, I want a little bit of back and forth. I want the grit. I want someone who's going to turn up and put their all in. Like I want that little bit of like, and he's the savage, and he's this, and he's like, I like what he does. But he's new to the game. Yeah, let's be honest. He come from the doors into the boxing world. He had a good little, he had a good run, and then got found out. Like let's see how he comes now. If he overcomes Stephen Robinson, then I'd love to mix it with him. So.
Yeah, and you said that there about having sort of the bit between your teeth and having that back and forth. Is it from a motivation in yourself where, when you face adversity in fights and when you're getting thrown to deep waters, who you are, and that you will swim when the deep waters come?
Listen, you're either a tough guy or you're not a tough guy, and I have been tested many times throughout my life, and I've overcome them. And when the chips are stacked against you, that's when you see who you are as a person, and especially as a fighter, because it's a lonely place, and only you can really sort of bite the bullet and overcome certain situations, So, I wish him nothing but success, as I do anyone that puts their gloves in. It's not a personal thing here, at all. I like what I see with him, and I think we'd have a bit of fun together.
And just, I suppose, just sticking on the topic of sort of politics in boxing, and for you said that you'll get there and you need to stay patient. But do you feel like when you see sort of the politics trying to slow you down, you walk into sort of you said you've been in boxing for a long time. It's one of these things where you're in the game with your eyes wide open, in a sense that anything can happen.
Listen, this is a dog game. Yeah. It's a horrible dog game, and unless you have a thick skin, it's gonna put you on your knees and make you cry like a bitch, So like a female dog.
Yeah,
I'm man up, and you got to roll with the punches. You really have to roll with the punches in this, and I've been rolling with the punches, so I'm hoping that something comes my way soon. We've got a few potential dates lined up. I had the teaser of perhaps getting on the Saudi card as well, on the AJ
really?
card.
Wow.
So that was there as well, and that was all going to happen. And then the Fury card got pulled, and I think there was just some I don't know. It's one thing after another, and it really, But I think this is what makes me strong.
Yeah, being patient as well, I suppose.
The questions go from your side to fighters. Oh, so what motivates you to fight? Like I like adversity because I think it kicks me on to really, fuel the fire and push on. I have had a little bit in this game already, and like I said, we're rolling with the punches, and my time will come.
You mentioned there about the adversity, and when you mentioned there about the adversity does make you stronger. So do you look at adversities now? Would you look at it from a mature point of view where the adversities, they're not nice, but they are also a positive thing because you understand it makes you work harder and it makes you it does bring the best out of you?
I'll tell you a quick story. I was an amateur. I won the junior ABAs, 3 nations, was going to the Europeans. Yeah. They changed it went from ABA to AIBA. Yeah. And the whole of the England squad got took out. Yeah. I had like the McCormacks on my team. Muhammad Ali was a good top amateur fighter. Ted Cheeseman, Louis Edmondson, David Adelaide. There was a
Wow.
few we was all going to the Europeans, and it got pulled the day before we was about to fly. I trained for 9 weeks. I had Dylan White. I was doing some work with. He was helping me prep. Many years back now, and I was really, buzzing. I stopped all the kids in the competition and was coming through, and they pulled it they literally pulled it the day before. We got the call from the England coaches and said, listen, due to political reasons, Team GB can't fight in this competition. And I'm not going to lie, as a young man, 19, 18, 19, it done me, and I was tinkering with the game, didn't care about training. I put so much into it, I was winning, I was in the papers, I was there, I was, flying off the handle, and, everything was great. And I was upset. I really, really was upset, and it hit me hard. So I dealt with this stuff early on in my career, which now a mature head of mine is like, just keep cool, Your time's coming, relax. Like, everything happens for a reason. I believe that helped me also grow to be the fighter I am today as well, And it's just about being, mature in this. When things come that you don't like, you just have to relax,
I was going to say, do you thank yourself now for having that? Because you could have had these adversities, at the age that you are now or later down the line. Don't know how you would have dealt with that now rather than having it early on.
Yeah, it helped me. I left the game for a couple of years though. I fell out of love with the game, and then I was waiting for the drive back, the gut to tell me, get back in the game, get back in the game, and I did. I followed my instincts, and here we are, a few years later.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Yeah,
Well,
no, it was good. It's good to have these tests early than later. I'm sure I've still got more tests to come in my career. I'm still early on, and you just have to, be a man about it. Take it on the chin and keep moving forward. Everyone's always got something to say, so it doesn't really matter what they say. As long as you get up in the morning and you give it your best shot, who cares?
Absolutely, man. I suppose just before we do close off this interview, what do you expect in 2024 for yourself? You talked about potential dates now. How big do you really want this year to be for you?
Listen, I want to have a belt around my waist by the end of the year. Yeah, that's what I want. So I'm going to work my bollocks off in doing it, and I'm not going to stop until I've got that around my waist. Yeah, so I want a belt around my waist by the end of the year. When I get that, then we can move on again. But right now, I just, fight after fight. I want to be moving into the 10 rounders now, The levels are moving up, and I hope that, I would also like to be working with a promoter properly this year as well, That's my plan, really. I've got us, me and my old man and my team have got us to this level. Now it's about getting to the next level, and I believe that I'm doing it now, Before, is he not? I've been tested and we're here, 13-0, 8 knockouts. I've broke my hand. I've overcome that. I'm back stronger than ever. I've knocked my last 2 guys out. I'm ready. Let's move on. Let's have some fun. Let's enjoy the journey. Let's cause a little storm. Yeah.
Absolutely. Tommy, just want to tell you, I know it's getting quite late, so I do appreciate you taking time to speak
I'm
to
a
me this
liar.
time. Yeah, same as me, mate. So I do
For the
appreciate
week.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate you taking time to speak to me, mate. And yeah, definitely, I suppose to speak for myself that we do want to see you in a big fight. So hopefully, sooner rather than later, we'll be seeing you some big fights, some big knockouts for yourself, mate.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. All
Top
right.
man, appreciate it, mate. Thank you.